This is a Stormtracker 16 special report.
And good afternoon. Hi, I'm Chief Meteorologist Kurt Aaron on this Saturday afternoon. We just wanted to kind of give you an update. I don't know if you've been watching the news or listening to the radio. I'm sure you've heard of what's been going on, this front that extends all the way from the Great Lakes region all the way down into the Gulf Coast region, and it is just devastating our neighbors to the south. For us, the only really influence that we've had today are wind speeds, but we're going to break all of this down for the next couple of minutes, and I kind of want to give you an update as to what this might mean for northeastern and central Pennsylvania. So we'll go ahead and go to the weather computer. You can see there's our steady wind speed. So it's been a breezy afternoon today. You bet. We've had steady winds over 20 miles an hour and even some peak wind gusts reported over 40 miles an hour. So this scenario is going to continue and even increase as we get into our evening hours. So let's look at what is happening right now. This is a cold front. We've been talking about it all week. Very similar to the front that came through earlier this week, back on Monday, as far as for our region, the increasing winds and also that surge of warmer air. So that's what we're seeing here today. To the south, though, it has been devastating. They have been dealing with tornadoes. There was even reports of tornadoes that were on the ground for over 250 miles. I can tell you, as somebody that's tracked tornadoes for decades, that is unheard of to have a tornado travel over 250 miles. There's been, unfortunately, numerous counts of deaths and people being injured and lots of destruction. And where I circled it, that's pretty much the worst area that we're going to be looking at with the front. Now, that doesn't mean here in northeastern and central Pennsylvania we can't deal with some rumbles of thunder, obviously wind gusts. One thing, you want to secure those lights outside, because I think we're going to have wind gusts even higher than what we had earlier in the week with this system. As you can see, what's driving it is the colder air. So you have colder air that's diving in now from the Great Lakes region right here. Follow that arrow. And then there's that line right there that we're keeping a very close eye right here. If you look at this line that I'm circling, I'll put on the attributes here real quick. What that does is it tells the computer, hey, if there's any rotation or there's any, like right there, you see that? You see those pop up there for a second? That's our storm attributes. And those things that you see popping up. So let me go manual now here on the radar so it's not looping by itself. And I'll freeze it. See that right there? That's what we're keeping an eye on. Make sure that there's no mesorotation inside this front that would cause any tornadic activity. Again, very unlikely that we'll see it here, but we are going to watch this line, not only for that, but for gusty winds, potential for some hail, and those things as they come through. And as I mentioned, the big story so far today has been the wind speeds. The wind started this morning, and boy, they just haven't let up at all. And I mentioned the colder air behind the front. So I'm just randomly going through the rundown. There's nothing set in order here, but this gives you an idea of what I was talking about with those, man, look at the difference in temperatures. Out ahead of the front, we have temperatures that are in the 60s, even low 70s, and then behind the front, it's a dive. And we're looking at temperatures going back to seasonal. And I say seasonal, we're talking middle and lower 40s tomorrow for afternoon highs. The wind speeds, as I mentioned, will be picking up this evening. Here's how much rain we've had so far from this system. And we do expect a little more rain to come through. So that's our current total. Most places, just to go back to that real fast, most places 1/10 of an inch to a 1/4 inch in that realm. If we look at it here, this is future radar. This would be additional rainfall on top of what we already have. And we're looking at another 1/10 of an inch to maybe a 1/4 inch of rain by the time it's all said and done. So rain really not going to be a major factor for us as far as flooding. It's these. And these are peak wind gusts, hilltops, anything over 1,200 feet. That's when you're looking at wind gusts possibly going over 40 miles an hour, getting close to 50 miles an hour. Those are the hilltops. And then for you folks in the cities, the valley cities, you're still looking at windy conditions. We could have wind gusts over 30 miles an hour there as well. So, and it's going to be a colder wind overnight tonight, as I just showed you with our temperature drop. That's what's heading in our direction. So we're going to watch that. Speaking of the temperatures, this spells it out here over the next 16 hours. You can see we get up to about 60, 65 maybe by 7, 8 o'clock, and then that front pushes through, and we see quite the drop here in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. So the forecast for here is, again, windy. We're going to have those rain showers around, and then temperatures will begin dropping, gusts over 40 miles an hour possible, and we'll be monitoring that all night tonight. But I want to go back to the bigger picture here. We were talking about that one section of that cold front pushing through. I mean, it has devastated businesses and homes all across our southeast. So this is a wider map, just the radar, and this shows you all of the watches and warnings that are going on right now. And the ones that you see in the light brown over Pennsylvania, those are mainly wind advisories that we have going on. The ones that you see that are in the purple by the Great Lakes, so let's go up into upstate New York here. These are high wind warnings. Also up there are storm warnings. So that's something else that we're going to keep an eye on. And this front, by the way, got a little measuring tool here. So I'm going to start from where the front is at down in what's called the coastal bend of Texas, Corpus Christi area, right in there, okay? So I'm going to extend this. This is how far this front extends, all the way up into here. So we're talking over 1,600 miles this front is. And of course, the main concerns for the front are right there, as we were pointing out before, in the middle of this area right here. This is where we're going to watch closely. Again, we're going to get winds. We talked about that. We're going to get some rain showers here in northeastern and central Pennsylvania, but nothing like what they dealt with out there. And the other interesting thing, too, depending on what part of the country you live in, if you've been watching WNEP for the last 20 years, you know I've talked, my first 6 or 7 years were down in Texas, the coastal bend area. So down here, they actually have, these are freeze warnings posted by the National Weather Service. We'll just go ahead and highlight these. So behind that front, you see those freeze warnings right there in purple? And then up here into Oklahoma, they have fire weather warnings, red flag warnings, typically like we would see in the springtime when we get those. So there's a lot going on. Good news is we're not seeing that batch of tornado warnings in this area like what we saw yesterday and last night. So we're still keeping an eye on it. That possibility is still there. But that front's going to keep moving to the east, and good riddance, because it has created a lot of heartache for a lot of people, unfortunately. So closer look at our region, Pennsylvania, for tonight. It's going to get windy. We're going to have those rain showers coming through, and we are expecting winds, as I mentioned, gusting over 40 miles an hour on the hilltops. In the valley cities, over 30 miles an hour. So be careful if you're going to be out and about tonight. As we look at our day tomorrow, things get much better. We start talking improving conditions. Look at that, sunshine returns, and we have temperatures in the middle 40s. It's still a few degrees above average for where we should be this time of the year. So for us, it's going to be a windy night. Make sure you have your decorations secure, your trash cans. You may want to bring them in or secure them wherever you can on the deck or whatever. And we'll be watching that. I'll be here all night. If we have any questions or whatever, just stay tuned to WNEP. We'll continue updating you. And again, this line, massive, and it's all part of colder air that's coming down out of Canada. And that colder air is creating this front, and it's creating lift in the atmosphere, and that's creating storms. That's what we saw yesterday. So we'll continue to keep you posted right now in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Last look before we close it out here, just the radar. We've had just some light rain, but the wind has been the main factor, as we mentioned before. But we're going to keep an eye on that line that you see right there out towards St. Mary's. Yeah, that's moving in our direction. So we'll keep you posted on that. We appreciate you joining us here this afternoon, and more updates coming on as we move through the evening hours. So stay safe, stay tuned, and we'll chat again real soon.